Welcome back for Story of the Day for Thursday the 7th of May 2020, and we are returning to Grandpa's Great Escape by David Walliams at chapter 41, Jolly Good Show. "Come down in an orderly fashion," ordered Grandpa. "One at a time, please." As the first elderly inmate abseiled down, Jack remarked, "But I thought they were fed pills to keep them asleep." "They were, but I shared out my Smarties." "You did ask for rather a lot." The boy felt a wave of panic. "But how many are escaping tonight?" Jack's grandpa sighed. "I hardly need to remind you, Squadron Leader, that it is every British prisoner of war's duty to escape." "All of them?" "Every last one. Put the kettle on, Mr. Churchill. We'll be home by tea time." As each elderly person reached the ground, Grandpa saluted them, and they took off their nightwear to reveal their civilian clothing underneath. "Good evening, Major," said Grandpa to the old gentleman sporting a ruddy nose and a monocle. Jack recognised him from the visit on Sunday. "Lovely night for a breakout wing commander," replied the man. Grandpa saluted the next old chap to come down. "Good evening, Rear Admiral," he said. "Good evening, Bunting. Jolly good show on the escape," replied the Rear Admiral, who once must have been very high up in the Navy. He was the man from the living room the day before, the one with the hearing aid that whistled so loudly it made everyone else deaf. "Oh, thank you, sir." "Be sure to come and have a glass of bubbly aboard my ship to celebrate when it's all over." "Be delighted to," replied Grandpa. "Good night and good luck." "Good luck to you too." "So it's this way to the wall, is it?" went on the Rear Admiral, in no apparent rush to escape. Jack pitched in. "Yes, sir, just climb up the overhanging branch on that willow tree. You can get right out." Right. I'll take a stroll over there then," replied the Rear Admiral. "See you on the other side." With that, he saluted the boy and began to light his pipe. "Maybe wait until over your wall until you smoke your pipe, sir?" suggested Jack. "You don't want to attract the searchlights." "Oh, no. Of course not. Silly me," agreed the old chap as he put his pipe back in his pocket and stepped out into the darkness. Suddenly, something of an uproar was coming from the reef. The final escapee, the large lady Jack had spied in the living room, had now become stuck in the hatch. She was calling down for help. "I'm stuck, Wing Commander," she cried. "Oh no," sighed Grandpa. "It's Trifle. She must be one of the WAFs." "Women's Auxiliary Air Force," replied the boy. "Yes, but instead of mapping out positions of the enemy aircraft, she has been at the cakes. I should have known she wouldn't make it through that little hatch. Squadron Leader, you stay here. I'm going back up," he announced. "No, sir," replied Jack defiantly. "It's too dangerous. I'm coming with you." Grandpa smiled at the younger man. "That's the spirit, Squadron Leader." With that, the pair began climbing back up the rope of knickers to the roof. "It's much harder going up," said the old man. By now, the knickerage had been stretched to nearly breaking point. Seeing all the rips in the silk on the way up, Jack wasn't convinced it was going to take Mrs. Trifle's weight on the way down, but there was no plan B. They would have to try. Finally, the pair managed to hoist themselves up onto the roof. Jack and his grandfather stood looking at the stuck Mrs. Trifle and pondered what to do. "One arm each, I think," said Grandpa confidently, as if he was an expert on extracting large women from small hatches. "This is most undignified," announced the elderly lady. Mrs. Trifle was frightfully posh. "And I need to use the powder room." "The what?" asked Jack. "The, convenience," replied the lady. "The what?" The boy had no idea what she was talking about. The commode." "Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." "I am bursting for the loo," shouted Mrs. Trifle angrily. "Oh, sorry. It will have to wait for a moment, Trifle," said Grandpa. "First, we have to get you out of this hatch." "Yes, if you wouldn't mind." Her tone of voice was sarcastic, as if it was all Grandpa's fault. It certainly wasn't his fault that the lady had spent a lifetime eating cake, but there was no time to get into that now. If only someone could get up the rear end to push, mused the old man. Oh, charming, complained the posh lady loudly. You make me sound like I'm a broken-down bus. If you could keep it down, please, madam, whispered Grandpa, you will alert the guards. I won't say another word, replied Mrs. Trifle. Still a little too loudly for Jack and Grandpa's liking. Ready, squadron leader? Asked the old man. Ready, sir, replied the boy. Grandpa and Jack took an arm each. Take the strain, squadron leader, said Grandpa. Now then, on 3, heave. 1, 2, 3, heave! Nothing. The lady did not budge an inch. This is not my idea of a nice night out, said Mrs. Trifle, helping nobody. Again ordered Grandpa. 1, 2, 3, heave! Still nothing. Next time someone asks me to join them on an escape, please remind me to politely decline. Muttered the lady, mainly to herself. I only said yes for the 3 smarties. One last go, announced Grandpa. 1, 2, 3, heave! And this time, somehow, Mrs. Trifle managed to slide down the hatch back into Twilight Towers. Oh, thank you very much, complained the old dear. Now I'm stuck here forever. What on earth are we going to do, pleaded Jack. We're never going to get her free at this rate, and time is running out. Chapter 42. Bruises on the bottom. I'm thinking, squadron leader, said Jack, as they stood on the roof of Twilight Towers. I don't want to leave a single man. Or lady, collected Mrs. Trifle. Or lady behind. We need backup. Let's call on the Army and Navy. And with that, Grandpa scuttled over the edge of the roof and called into the darkness below. Major, Rear Admiral? Yes, sir, came the voice of the Major from the ground. I need reinforcements. Without hesitation, the 2 old war heroes made their way back across the lawn and up the rope of knickers. They were followed one by a dozen of other escapees. Would you mind hurrying, please? Complained Mrs. Trifle. I do need the loo. The old folk joined together to form a human chain. At the end of each chain, someone held tightly onto one of Mrs. Trifle's arms. Teamwork, announced Grandpa. That's what will win the war, teamwork. We all need to work together. Hear, hear, agreed Major. Next, Grandpa called out his command. 1, 2, 3, heave! This time Mrs. Trifle shot up through the hatch. In an instant, everyone flew backwards to the end and piled up on top of each other in a heap. Oof! Teamwork, sir, remarked Jack with a smile, as he climbed out from the bottom of the pile. Bravo, one and all, said Grandpa. Right now, everyone, back down the rope, quick smart. One by one, the old folk made their way back down. Mrs. Trifle was the last in line. Surveying her for a second, Jack whispered, I'm not sure the rope's going to take her weight. I checked, and rest assured they are top-quality British-made knickers, squadron leader. I'm sure everything will be fine. Just listen to my instructions and take it slow, Trifle. Mrs. Trifle was not one to listen to instructions from anybody. Without waiting, she grabbed hold of the knickerage and launched herself off the roof with far too much gusto. Just as Jack had predicted, the rope could not take her weight, and she slid down at an alarming speed. Ah! A pair of silky knickers ripped, and Mrs. Trifle landed on the ground. Thud! Ow! She screamed. Fortunately, she did not fall too far and was not too badly injured. Just a few bruises on her bottom. The rope knickers followed her down and landed on top of her head. Now I'm covered in knickers, she complained loudly. I can never show my face in polite society again. Shh, shushed Jack. But it was too late. The nurses stationed atop of the observation tower could not help but hear a very loud Mrs. Trifle. Immediately the searchlights circled. One picked out Mrs. Trifle, another the gaggle of elderly escapees hurrying across the lawn. Quick, run for the willow tree! Jack called down from the roof. It's your only way out. Helping each other as much as they could, the old folk surged towards the wall. Suddenly, a blinding blaze of lights lit up the building and all of its ground. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. The bell in the tower began to ring. The alarm had been raised. One of the searchlights caught Grandpa and Jack on the roof. For a moment, they were framed in the glare of light. With the rope of knickers broken, there was no way down. They were trapped. And tomorrow we'll pick up at chapter 43 to see what happens with Jack and Grandpa.